Hey, good morning, church family. Today we're going to pick up in Luke chapter 8. We're going to be reading verses 26 through 39. And so, verse 26, they sailed to the region of the Gerasenes, which is across the lake from Galilee. When Jesus stepped ashore, he was met by a demon-possessed man from the town. For a long time, this man had not worn clothes or lived in a house, but had lived in the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell at his feet, shouting at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had commanded the impure spirit to come out of the man. Many times it had seized him, and though it was chained hand and foot and kept under guard, he had broken his chains and had been driven by the demon into solitary places. Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "Legion," he replied, because many demons had gone into him, and they begged Jesus repeatedly not to order them to go into the abyss. A large herd of pigs were feeding there on the hillside, and the demons begged Jesus to let them go into the pigs, and he gave them permission. When the demons came out of the man, they went into the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake, and they were drowned. When those tending the pigs saw what happened, they ran off and reported this to the town and the countryside. Verse 35, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they found the man from whom the demons had gone out, sitting at Jesus' feet, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people how the demon-possessed man had been cured. Verse 37, then all the people of the region of the Gerasenes asked Jesus to leave them, because they were overcome with fear. So he got into the boat and he left. The man from whom the demons had gone out begged to go with him, but Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return home and tell how much God has done for you." So the man went away and told all over town how much Jesus had done for him. You know, this is an interesting story because what we're really seeing is Jesus is continuing to reveal his lordship, not only to those who were shepherding over the pigs, not only to the demon-possessed man, but also to his followers, to the disciples. You remember scripturally coming off this, Jesus had just demonstrated his dominion over the weather, right? And so now they're sailing over to that eastern side of the Sea of Galilee. And unlike the other side where they had come from, where it was fertile plains and flat, that eastern side has some more hills. And what we see here is that this man approaches Jesus, and he was out of his mind, right? It says that he had this almost a superhuman-like strength, where he was able to break his bonds, break his chains, and they kept him under guard, almost like a Samson-like strength. The difference being is Samson's strength came from the Lord. And so this demon-possessed man, he comes up, and if you notice in verse 28, in verse 28, they said, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God?" These demons are addressing Jesus by his name, Jesus, Son of the Most High God. And Jesus answers them back by basically saying, "What is your name?" Right? And this was a rhetorical question from the Lord. Just like in Scripture, when it talks about God summoned Satan to the throne room, right? When talking about Job, like where have you been? And Satan was summoned. He was commanded to answer, right? And you see the same thing here, where Jesus asking this rhetorical question, "What is your name?" And the demons respond with legion, right? Essentially, it's an intimidation tactic, basically saying, "Hey, there's thousands of us. Do you want to mess with us? There's thousands of us." And what we see from the Lord is that these demons begged Jesus in verse 31. They begged Jesus not to order them to go into the abyss. See, the demons know their final destination. Revelation chapter 9 talks about Jesus having the key to the abyss. The demons know their final destination. Satan, being the king of the demons, knows his final destination. And so now these demons, they're trembling with fear that Jesus is addressing them. And it says that there's a large herd of pigs feeding on the hillside, and the demons beg, please don't send us into the abyss. Please just let us go anywhere other than the abyss. Let us go into the pigs. And it says Jesus gave them permission. Jesus is showing his lordship. He is showing his dominion over not only the weather, but his dominion over evil. Right? This story could be called Lord of the Demons. Jesus is showing that he has ultimate lordship over wickedness. It says Jesus gave them permissions, and the demons came out of the man, and it says they went into the pigs, and they went down, and they jumped off the cliff, and they drowned. And that's a perfect picture of what Satan does, right? Satan comes to kill. He comes to destroy everything. He does not care what part of God's creation is destroyed, whether it's a human, whether it's nature, whether it's animals. Satan just wants to kill and destroy. And that's what we see happening here, is that the pigs just went off the cliff. Now it's interesting, as you go on, it says when those tending the pigs saw this, they ran off, right? It almost says that they went to tell everybody. And the man who was out of his mind is now a new creation. And maybe this is you. Maybe you were out of your mind before Christ, right? And even if you weren't out of your mind before Christ, you were living a life that was in rebellion to Christ. And now you are a new creation. And so now this man who was demon-possessed with superhuman strength now has been fully redeemed with a new mind, and he's sitting at the feet of Jesus. And that's just like us, right? And the disciples are seeing this, and here's the takeaway. The more time we spend with the Lord, the more that we're going to be in awe of his lordship. The disciples are saying, okay, who is this man that controls the weather? Now they're seeing, who is this man that controls the demons, right? And it says that people came out of the town. Now you think they would be excited, but what we see happen here in the scriptures is that the people, they begged Jesus to go away, which is kind of crazy. They were okay with the demon-possessed man, keeping him out of the town, keeping him under guard, right? But with Jesus, seeing that he cast out the demons, that they're saying, this is too much. You're scaring us. Please leave us. And maybe this is you. This is my encouragement for you this morning. Maybe when you came to know Christ, people said, that's too much. I will tell you a very personal story that when I came to Christ, it was too much for the majority of my friends. I would say I lost almost every single friend that I had when I came to know Christ because it was too much. They didn't want anything to do with it. But here's what I learned in the following years after coming to know Christ. Those weren't actual friendships. Those were worldly things that I had in common with a group of people. And the beautiful thing is that the Lord replaced all of those friendships in the world with godly brothers, godly sisters, people that can encourage me and that I can encourage and that we can pour into, right? So if you've been rejected for Christ, remember Scripture says this, if they've rejected Christ, they're going to reject you. So take encouragement this morning that Jesus in his lordship over wickedness and his lordship over your life, you will be rejected, but take comfort, right? Sit at the feet of Jesus like the man who was once demon-possessed, but is now clean. Lord, I just pray that this morning this message is an encouragement for us, God, and that if there is parts of our life that we have not fully surrendered to you, Lord, being Lord of the demons, God, having that lordship over your creation, Lord, I just ask that you would take that this morning, Lord, that we would sit at your feet and that we would learn more about you. And Lord, if we are rejected for you, let us count it all joy, right? Before our reward is in heaven, our victory is in heaven, our crown is in heaven. But most importantly, Lord, there will be a day where we get to sit at your feet, where we get to see you seated at the right hand of the Father, and we will sing worship and praise to you. Lord, thank you for your dominion that you have over our life. I pray that you are encouraged today. Be blessed.